War has really been heating up between Grandpa Jack and Peter. Kiyaya and I can't wait to share what happens in our second-to-last installment of Robert Kimmel Smith's The War with Grandpa. It all starts now on Get Kozy. It's story time with Kiyaya and Daniel.
I'm Doozy Box Dave, and my prices are Doozy Box. Come into LI Telecom at 2287 Route 112, Medford, New York, or call me at 631-833-9679. I dare you!
Stories are such an important part of our lives. Join my friend Kiyaya and I for Get Kozy, because it's story time with Kiyaya and Daniel, where we share some of the greatest picture books and chapters from children's and young adult literature to inspire you to keep embedding literacy into your days. Chapter 30, Jenny, the Spy. Right around then, while I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, a peculiar thing happened. It was a rainy Sunday. Mom was in the kitchen baking something with cinnamon in it that made the whole house smell terrific. Jenny was helping. After a while, Jenny must have helped too much because Mom sent her out of the kitchen. Grandpa was sitting in the living room with me. Dad was upstairs taking a nap. Next thing I knew, Jenny came walking into the room with my Monopoly game. My empty Monopoly game with all the pieces and cards hidden away by Grandpa. "Let's play," Jenny said. She set the game down on the coffee table. Grandpa said, kind of coughing. "Where'd you get that?" I said. I acted like I was mad. "From your toy cabinet," Jenny said, "where you always keep it." She began to open the box, but I stopped her by putting my hand on top of it. "Don't you ask permission to go into my room and steal my game?" I said real loud. Jenny looked at me in a funny way. What do you mean, steal it?" she said. "Here it is. I think we should play Monopoly. You, me, and Grandpa." "That's a stupid idea," I said. Jenny blinked her eyes at me. "What's the matter with you, Peter?" she asked. "You're acting funny." "I don't want to play Monopoly, okay?" I said. "I have my rights, you know, and if a person doesn't want to play Monopoly, a person can't be forced against their will. So I'll just put the game away." I didn't expect Jenny to jerk the box away, but she did, and then she opened it. "I'll play with Grandpa, if you're going to be so mean," she said. I looked at Grandpa, and he looked at me. We both knew what was coming next. "Hey, where are all the pieces and cards and stuff?" Jenny asked. "There's just a Monopoly board and nothing else in the box." There was a very long and embarrassing silence. Jenny stared at me and at Grandpa. I couldn't think of what to say. Grandpa began to whistle. And then Jenny found the note I'd stupidly left in the box. "Two can play at this game," she read aloud, "but you can't play this game now. Signed, the old man." She looked mystified. "Who is the old man?" she asked. "And why are all the pieces missing?" "Well," I said, "there's a perfectly simple explanation." Jenny waited. I waited too, because I couldn't think of a perfectly simple explanation. Something's fishy going on around here," Jenny said. Grandpa cleared his throat. "You both know about this, and I don't," Jenny said. "Are you the old man in the note, Grandpa? Are you playing a trick on Petey?" "Me?" Grandpa said. "Me? Don't be silly. Why would I play a trick on Peter?" Jenny thought about that for no more than a second. "It is you, Grandpa. That's why you look so guilty. I wish you'd tell me. You know I can keep a secret." stuff and nonsense, Grandpa said in a huffy way like he was being insulted. One of Pete's friends did this, I'll bet. Isn't that right, Pete? Huh? I said, yeah, right. Who? Asked Jenny. The older one, Grandpa said. That's right, I said. Steve did it. He's a lot older than me, and sometimes he calls himself the old man. Steve isn't a lot older than you, Jenny said. She would make a great detective, I was thinking. Sure he is, I said. Months and months. So where did Steve hide all the Monopoly pieces? Jenny asked. Why don't you get them, Peter, so we can play, okay? Well, I said. You go upstairs and get them, Pete, said Grandpa, who stood up from the couch, and I'll just step up to my room and get me a sweater. It's kind of chilly in here. Now I understood what was happening, so I ran up to my room like I was getting the Monopoly stuff while Grandpa retreated from wherever he had hidden it. I met him outside my old room. A narrow escape there, he said. He handed me a plastic bag with all the Monopoly stuff in it, and I handed him back his watch. Thanks, he said, and slipped the watch onto his wrist. This doesn't mean I'm giving up, I told him. Course not, Grandpa said, and I still owe you one. Believe me, I'm going to drop the other shoe on you any day now. Then we went back downstairs and played Monopoly with Jenny until dinner time. Chapter 31. The Shoe Drops. Kerplunk! When it happened, I wasn't ready for it. It was an ordinary Wednesday in the middle of the week, a school day. The first thing I noticed that my clock alarm radio hadn't gone off at the right time. I always get up at 7 o'clock, but it was already 7:15. I leaped out of bed, tangling my feet in the blanket and falling onto the floor. Next thing I noticed was that my slippers were gone. I always leave them right alongside my bed when I go to sleep. Why weren't they there? I wasted a minute or two looking for them under the bed and in my closet. That's when it hit me. This was Grandpa's revenge. This morning, that's why the clock was late and my slippers were gone. I rushed off to the bathroom in my bare feet to wash my face and brush my teeth. No toothbrush. It simply wasn't there. In the plastic water glass on the sink was a note. Use your finger, it said. What a furzy trick. I stood there like a dummy, half of me wanting to run downstairs to the hall closet where Mom kept a few new toothbrushes and half of me not wanting to waste time, because I was already behind schedule. I put toothpaste on my finger and brushed my teeth with it. It was disgusting. I ran back into my room in a hurry. I hate being late for anything, but I hate being late for school most of all. When I opened my underwear drawer, it was empty. There was another note. This one said, underwear in hall closet. I ran outside into the hall. There was all my underwear up on a shelf. I grabbed shorts and a t-shirt and ran back to my room and put them on. That's when I looked in my sock drawer. And that's when I saw it was empty too. Now I was mad. In a panic, yes, but mad as well. The note in my sock drawer said, socks in cabinet under bathroom sink. I groaned and said a couple of words I shouldn't use. Grandpa was turning my getting dressed into a treasure hunt. I ran to the bathroom again and looked under the sink and in the cabinet. There were my rolled up socks scattered among the ivory soap, rolls of toilet paper, and a bottle of Mr. Clean. I grabbed a pair of socks and ran back to my room to put them on. By now I figured that Grandpa's dirty tricks weren't over yet. I was right. All of my flannel shirts hanging on hangers in my closet were still hanging there, but they had been turned inside out. I grabbed one, fixed it, and put it on. Naturally, I buttoned it wrong and had to rebutton it. My jeans, hanging on a hook by a belt loop, were inside out too. I fixed them and put them on, and I saw that my belt was missing. The heck with it, I thought. I was too late to worry about a little thing like a belt. That's when I discovered that there were no laces in my sneakers. I stood there staring down, my mouth hanging open like the sneakers were hanging open. I heard my mom calling from the bottom of the stairs, "Peter, you're late, sweetie!" Inside one sneaker was a note. Laces on the kitchen countertop. I stuck my feet in the sneakers and tried to run downstairs. I couldn't. Without the laces, The sneakers kept slipping around, so I had to walk like a crazy man to keep them on my feet. I came downstairs slowly. In the second-floor hallway, Grandpa had his head stuck out of the door of my room. He was laughing. "Hey, Pete," he called to me. "How's it going this morning?" "It's not funny," I said. "War is hell," is what Grandpa said back. He laughed again, which only made me madder. I finally made it to the kitchen. I flip-flopped across the floor in my loose sneakers and practically fell into my chair. "Peter," my mom said, "why did you leave your sneaker laces on the kitchen counter?" I took a big gulp of the orange juice that was in front of my bowl of cereal. "Did you want me to wash your shoelaces?" Mom asked. She looked real puzzled. "No, I said it was a joke." I started to eat my Cheerios fast. Jenny was already finished with breakfast. "You're really late, Peter," she said. "I know it, dummy," I shouted at her. She looked at me like I was crazy, which maybe I was a little. "I'd better put your laces back in while you finish your breakfast," Mom said. I slipped my sneakers off, which wasn't hard to do, and Mom sat down beside me and relaced them for me. I'd had enough of breakfast by this time. I was mad and upset and not hungry anyway. I took the sneaker Mom had relaced and put it on and tied it. She still was working on the other one. "Could you try to hurry?" I said to her. The front door slammed shut, which was Jenny leaving the house. At least she wasn't going to be late to school. "I don't understand why you left your laces down here," Mom said. She handed me the other sneaker, and I put it on. Then I lit out, running for the stairs, and zoomed up to my room like a bullet. I was ready to find out that Grandpa had hidden my knapsack. But there it was, right by my desk. The only thing was, it was empty. My books were missing. Inside the knapsack was another stupid joke. Books inside luggage and storage room down the hall. I ran like crazy to the room where we stored the luggage. Grandpa was so devilish. I wanted to hit him on the head with a suitcase. He put one book in each of the pieces of luggage, so I had to unzip every one of them to get back all my books. I stuffed my books into the knapsack, then ran downstairs to the coat closet. I grabbed my jacket, threw it on, and dashed out the door. It's 6 blocks from my house to school. I ran until I was out of breath, then walked as fast as I could. As I rounded the corner near school, I could see that the schoolyard was empty, which meant that all the classes were going upstairs to their rooms already. I ran across the schoolyard, and just as I got to the entrance door, I remembered something. I had forgotten my lunch. I ran upstairs and got to my class just as Mr. Pangalos, my homeroom teacher, was calling the roll. I was so out of breath that when he called my name, I could barely say "here." Steve looked across at me and asked, why was I so late? "You wouldn't believe it if I told you," I said. Chapter 32, The Last Strategy Conference. We are eating lunch at our usual table in the lunchroom. Wait a minute, that's not exactly right. Billy and Steve were eating lunch. I was begging for lunch. I got half an apple from Steve. Billy had a liverwurst sandwich, which he said he hated, so he gave me half of it. I hated it too. We both ate the bread and left the liverwurst. Steve said he would give me half his milk to drink. The second half, he said. Luckily, a nice kid named Nathaniel Robbins gave me a peanut butter cookie. I had told the boys about my terrible morning, and they laughed like crazy. "Stealing your shoelaces," Steve said. "That was a masterstroke." "It was a rotten trick," I said. "I like how we put each book in a different suitcase," Billy said, and then he began laughing again. "Wait a minute," I said. "Whose side are you on, anyway?" I took a sip of the second half of Steve's milk, which was warm and hateful. One sip was enough. We walked outside to the schoolyard and sat down on the steps in the sun. "You're going to get your grandpa back for this," Steve said. "Indubitably," I said, which was one of Steve's words. "Not something simple, I hope," said Steve. "I think this calls for massive retaliation." "It won't be something simple," I said. "You've got to really get him this time," Billy said. "Get him how?" I asked. "I don't know," Billy said. "Paint his hair, maybe." I wasn't even listening to Billy because I'd already decided what I would do. It was something I had thought about doing before this, but it seemed too awful. But after what Grandpa had done to me, it seemed all right now. "Look, guys," I said, "I know what I'm going to do. It's terrible, and I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. And I'll tell you one other thing. If it doesn't work, I'm going to surrender." "You can't," Billy said. "Oh, yes, I can," I said. "I'll learn to live in my stupid room. I won't like it, but I'll do it. Or else Grandpa will get me back in a more terrible way I don't even want to think about." "You're chicken," Billy said. "And you're right," I said. "I think I figured it out. War isn't such fun after all." Chapter 33, The Last Attack. The first thing I had to do was make Grandpa worry. I couldn't forget how nervous, make that terrified I was while waiting for Grandpa to drop the other shoe. Now I'd give him back some of his own medicine. I kept saying things to him like, "How are you, Grandpa?" And he'd say, "Fine." And I'd say, "Just wait." I also developed this weird laugh. It sounded nutty even to me, so when I passed him on the stairs, I'd turn around, look at him, and give him my I don't know if it had any effect or not, but it made me feel good. I waited through all of that week. He'd made me almost late for school. I didn't want it to be a school day when I got my revenge. I wanted to be home so I could see everything that was going to happen. On Friday night, On a Friday night, as I'd done once before, I set my alarm for the middle of the night. Sneaking down the dark, spooky stairs was a lot easier this time. The house was quiet, but I was even quieter. The doorknob on the door turned in my hand. I sneaked in on tippy toes, the thing I was stealing, in a glass of water on Grandpa's nightstand. I took the glass of water and backed slowly out of the room. Grandpa was sleeping calm and peacefully. Not even snoring. I closed the door and made it upstairs very easily. I dumped the glass of water into the sink and let what was in the glass fall softly in my hand. I didn't want to hurt them. I took a whole bunch of face tissues from the box and wrapped them up nicely. They made a small, soft package. I had already figured out my hiding spot. There's a large garment bag in the back of in the closet of one of the attic rooms, the kind that opens with a zipper down the side of it. Mom keeps some of Dad's old suits and a few of her dresses in it. I slid open the zipper and found a pocket in one of Dad's jackets. Then I put the package inside. Then I scooted back to my room, jumped into bed, and pulled the covers up. Safe and sound. I'd done it. Now, I'd have to settle back and get some sleep, because there sure was going to be a lot of excitement in the morning. Grandpa was going to be very, very angry when he woke up. And I couldn't blame him. It's a really disgusting trick to steal somebody's false teeth. I know, Kiyaya, we love keeping you in suspense, and we can't wait until next week when we conclude our sharing of Robert Kimmel Smith's The War with Grandpa. We hope you've been enjoying it, friends, as much as we've been enjoying sharing it with you. But what do you think is going to happen when Grandpa Jack wakes up and finds out that Peter stole his false teeth? Share your predictions with us on our social media, at STITCHINGwolf on Facebook and Instagram, or send them to us through email. Get cozy at STITCHINGwolfDesigns.com. Until then, stay safe and healthy, and always remember, yep, that's right, Kiyaya, reading is power.